Nonetheless, the idea of reducing cow numbers seems to be political poison still, is it?
Yeah, well, it shouldn't be. I mean, if you think about what Monty was talking about with the landscapes that we see around here, I think that the idea of the future will be much more diverse landscapes, and there will be permaculture, and there'll be all sorts of different. Instead of monocultures of cows or monocultures of crops, there'll be real mixtures with tourism mixed in with it. That's our vision of the future, and it would be a much more attractive place. I mean, I in my chapter I talked about that amazing statistic for the planet where 98% of the biomass of mammals on this planet is humans, us, and the animals we eat, leaving 2%. For the rest of the wild animals. That kind of
How's the volume? All right? All right. So what we're going to do is I've got a brief statement that I'll make, and then we'll answer questions, and then we'll move on to teachers after that if people want to get into that. Does that sound all right with everybody? All right, so the government welcomes the release of the report, and I'd like to thank Mary Schultens and everybody who participated in the inquiry. It's a comprehensive report, and I think it can give the New Zealand public a lot of confidence. Ms Schultens was asked to consider what information officials can reasonably expect to be able to obtain about a candidate and what information ministers can reasonably expect to receive to make sound decisions and recommendations. Ms Schultens found that the appointment process managed by the State Service Commission was sound, and that no available information and relevant information was omitted from the process. Specifically, there were no substantiated concerns, whether criminal, disciplinary, reputational or otherwise, that should be treated as relevant to the appointment. Ms Schultens also found that there was nothing of concern to the process in statements alleged to have been made by Deputy Commissioner Homaha to Operation Austin. Ms Schultens noted that unsubstantiated concerns and innuendo should not impede an appointment or an appointment process. The findings of this inquiry are of utmost importance to ensuring that the appointment processes are not undermined because of subsequent unanticipated and inaccurate publicity. Happy to answer any questions.
Do you think it's appropriate that she gave her personal view and said that she hoped that both Wally Homaha and Louise Nicholas would continue in their jobs?
I think the inquiry was canvassing a number of very difficult issues, and I think that the commentary at the very beginning of the report was appropriate. It recognises that they were difficult issues to canvass through, and I think the report speaks for itself in terms of the substance of the issues that they were being asked to canvass.
But then she was there as like a judicial officer. She shouldn't be giving a personal view, surely.
Well, I think you'll find that the view that she expressed at the beginning of the report was certainly based on the substance of the report itself.
As far as you're concerned, is Mr Homaha in the clear?
Look, in terms of the process, the appointment process was a sound and robust one. No information was withheld from that process that should have been considered as part of the process. So I think from a government perspective, we have full confidence in the process.
Do you believe he's of sound character?
Obviously, any matters like that are matters for an appointment process and for judgments to be made during an appointment process. The information provided to those making that decision as part of the appointment was clearly all of the right and relevant information.
You made comments around unsubstantiated concerns and innuendo. Is that what we saw from Louise Nicholas?
No, that I think the specific references with regard to that were to do with the 2016 allegations, I think the report canvasses those quite carefully and in a very considered manner.
The report says there were no complaints made to police, but I understand those women did speak to their managers, and the report mentions the Chief Executive of Justice knew about this at least one of the incidents. Should police have known about it? Should there have been a complaint with police?
Well, I think that there are some natural justice issues here. When you're doing an appointment process, you can't make appointment decisions based on complaints that haven't been made, and I think the report's pretty clear. It steps through those issues very carefully and considers whether there is information relevant to that situation that should have been considered during the appointment process, and found that there wasn't.
They did complain to their managers?
Well, I don't know that they made formal complaints.
It would be the responsibility of the managers, would it not, to
That's right.
forward a complaint to
That's
police.
right. And that is something that I know that those departments will be looking into.
The report points out the unknown unknowns though. So given that information is now known, so to speak, do you have confidence in Wally Homaha?
Look, that's not a matter for me. That's a matter for those who made the appointment. But it's clear that I have full confidence in the appointment process. All of the relevant information that was required to be collected for there to be a good, sound, robust appointment process was collected. It was provided to those who made the decision.
Well, it's
Can
a
I
question
put
for
that
the
question to
Minister of
you
Police,
then?
yeah.
Oh, look, let's be upfront about this. There is still an IPCA report underway, so I'm not going to make any comment on that until that report comes back.
Well, given this report, do you have confidence based on what you've read here?
Well, like the Minister has outlined, I have full confidence that the process undertaken to appoint DC Homaha was done in a way which was fair, and we had all the information.
So will Homaha return to the office on Monday?
Well, that's up to the Commissioner of Police.
So there's a possibility then that the wrong person was appointed with the right process. Is that what you're saying?
No, not at all. All we're saying is this report outlined the process under which DC Homaha was appointed, and it said it was fair and adequate. And, I'd go back to the report. This is what this was about, the process, and it was done in a
So
way.
it was fair and adequate, but neither of you can explicitly say that you've got confidence in Homaha currently.
Well, as mentioned, there is an IPCA investigation still underway. We don't want to prejudice that in any way, shape or form, so let's just wait until that report's back.
And when that report is back, yes or no, you can confirm that you have confidence in Wally Homaha once that report is back? You'll give us a blunt binary answer, yes or no?
Well, let's just wait and see what the report says.
How come you didn't raise the connection with New Zealand First when it was brought to your attention on the 24th of May?
Look at the report. The report, I think, outlines very clearly the process that was undertaken to appoint DC Homaha, and I've got nothing else to say except what is outlined in that report.
So you're just happy that you didn't pass on that connection to Cabinet?
With regard to DC Homaha?
No, with regard to his connection with New Zealand First when you were informed of that?
Look, again, I go back to what Mary Shelton's talked about, relevant information in the appointment process of DC Homaha, and she has outlined the fact that she believes that all the relevant information was put to the panel in the process of appointing DC Homaha.
And you're happy that was not relevant?
I go back to the substance of the report. I think Mary Shelton's is an incredibly capable QC, and I think she's done a very good job.
But at the time that you received the information around his connections with the New Zealand First, you obviously judged it not relevant.
Well, I was the one who made the recommendation to the Prime Minister.
Do either of you have a message for Louise Nicholas today?
Look, I think if you read the report, the inquiry has considered really carefully the issues that Louise Nicholas has raised. It's very complimentary of her and the work that she has done with the police, and I think that we should absolutely acknowledge the work that she's been doing with the police, the importance of her continuing to do that work. And I think that the Police Commissioner, through the report you'll see, is very keen for her to continue to do that work with the police as well. So, I think it's important that we consider all of the issues in the very comprehensive and careful way that the inquiry has. I'm not. The report speaks for itself in that regard. I'm not going to trivialise it by trying to get it down to a soundbite, because actually they're difficult issues and the report steps through them very carefully.
Do you think that Ms Nicholas's initial complaint is lessened by the fact that she subsequently met with Mr Clement, Mr Bush and Mr Homaha and walked away from that meeting and emailed them and said that she had never intended for him to be stripped of his appointment, that wasn't the purpose of the meeting, and also that she wanted to work towards a working relationship with Mr Homaha?
I don't think it's lessened at all. I think that Louise Nicholas, as the Minister has said, plays a very important role. The police continue to use her services in changing the culture of police. That's recognised, but I would never say that Louise Nicholas or anyone's concerns are trivialised in any way, shape or form.
Does it give you greater confidence in him, though, staying in the role, given that she was happy to work with him when she made the complaint?
Well, what the Commissioner did do when Ms Nicholas raised her complaints is sat down with her and went through the process. And you can see the result of that in the report, in the email that she sent to the Commissioner.
On the recommendations that were made, do you accept that you'll need to follow those so that we do not get into this perception issue that was also raised in the report, this issue of public perception of appointments being unjust?
The inquiry recommendations make some relatively minor but pragmatic suggestions to the State Services Commission about how they could continue to refine their appointment process. Those are the sorts of things that they'll be looking at on a day-to-day basis. I mean, the State Services Commission makes a lot of appointments, so they're always looking at how they can refine and improve those processes. I'm sure they'll be taking the recommendations of the inquiry on board.
Do you not have an opinion about seeking confident anonymous information and whether that's appropriate?
Well, I think there's a difference between being thorough and doing appropriate level of due diligence and trading in rumours and innuendo. Ultimately, when you're making an appointment and somebody's future is at stake, you need to make sure that you're basing that on robust and sound information. And I think, again, the inquiry report steps through that quite carefully and is very clear that an appointment process should not be impeded by rumour and claims that can't be substantiated.
So on that, I think it was the recommendation 2 or 3 where it says that it's potentially a good idea to go outside of the recommended referees to solicit advice from other people, anonymous people. In doing that, how will you or the State Services Commission safeguard against trading in rumour and innuendo? Well, again, I think that's something that the State Services Commission considers very carefully when it makes its decisions around referee checks and background checks and so on, which it does every day through an appointment process. At the end of the day, when you're doing appointments, you're never going to have a 100% foolproof system. And but what you can do is put in place the systems and processes that give you the very best shot at identifying any relevant issues. And I'm pretty confident from this report that the process that was followed here was a very robust one, and that the appointment panel did have access